The longer you talk, the weaker you sound. We're talking about Ken Mode's NULL, released in 2022 on Artoffact Records. This is a fan pick from Mike Warrior. Not going to say your real last name, but here's to you, Mike.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
It's not Warrior.
So this is a fan pick, guys. We've been getting a lot of requests from people watching and stuff. So yeah, it's really awesome. Keep them coming. We've started a list, and we'll be peppering in some of your guys' requests. So, but right now it's Ken Mode. What do you guys think?
Have you heard of Ken Mode before you picked this off the list of requests?
Yes, and that's one of the reasons why I picked it off the list, because it was like I'd heard the name.
Because it's starting to get long now, and there's shit in there I've never even heard of.
And also, it's, you know, a good friend of mine, so I just thought I'd pick it. The last album that I heard, and the first album that I heard by them, was an album called Success.
Okay, a couple albums ago, right?
Yeah, it was quite a few. I think it might have, it was quite a few albums ago. And I thought it was pretty decent, but didn't get too far into it.
Okay.
And I knew that they came out with this album this year. Always wanted to get around to it, so I saw it on the list and picked it.
Their sound is like changed over the last like couple of albums. So when I listen to this, I'm like, I don't think this is the same Ken Mode I'm familiar with. So I went back and listened, and they definitely kind of evolved their sound.
You thought somebody stole the name and started a new band?
Yeah, something like that.
I know that Success, the album that I had heard for years ago, had a little bit more like post-hardcore feel to it.
Definitely.
So this is definitely like, I would agree that
this
from what I've heard, this is definitely different.
Casey, Ken Mode?
No, not familiar at all. I know they, like you said, they're from Canada. Two brothers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're, I guess, the only original members.
Okay.
And this is their first album with Catherine Kerr.
So she was a guest
member
previously.
Yeah.
And now she plays saxophone, keyboards, backup vocals.
Everything.
Everything else that's not guitar, bass, and drums and vocals. She does vocals too. And I guess she formally joined the band for this album, which is cool because
I think it adds a lot to it. I'm not familiar with them, but from what I read on them, their previous album kind of dabbled with it a little bit into like with the saxophone and stuff, and then they kind of brought it in full time on this one.
And it jumps out like on the very first track. There's like squealing saxophone.
So I thought that was a Tuscan Sound person singing in the background.
From Star Wars, you fucking nerd.
I was like, dude, how'd they get somebody to come in and do that? I thought those were just fake on TV.
Oh, man.
So it's like, what is this, noise rock, I guess? Noise, kind of sludge metal?
I'd definitely say it's got some noise rock influence on it, because I hear bands like the Melvins.
Mm-hmm.
I hear bands like Daughters, Swans. So I hear a lot of that within this.
This is a weird mix because I'm with you. There's a lot of noise rock kind of influence on it, but there's also a lot of groove in it. Where it kind of gets in that pocket and it just goes off on its own, and you forget that it's there.
So their previous stuff, like when I listened to them before, is like you were saying, more post-hardcore. This got, and this album and the album before it, Loved, which I think is 2018 was when it came out, 2019, something like that.
I haven't listened to it.
It's really cool artwork.
Yeah, the artwork does look sick.
It's the artwork on this one's cool too, that red face or whatever. It's way heavier and not as like whiny sounding. This is much more aggressive. It's hard to say it's aggressive because it doesn't feel like it's faster.
It's chunky.
It's like chunkier, more evil sounding.
More angst, I think, to it.
Yeah, darker.
Definitely more like, I guess, anger that you can feel within this, or frustration.
There
you could
say.
Frustration.
Yeah.
I wrote that in my notes, actually. Disappointed.
Too bad you don't know how to read.
It's definitely like pummeling, in the sense of like it'll start and it kind of doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it kind of works its way into you and kind of pokes at you, it seems like.
So after you picked this, I had a drive that I had to go, like a long, over an hour drive for whatever reason. I was like, oh, I'll listen to this album. was like the perfect time to listen to it. Like the sun was setting, it was starting to get dark. And like the first track has like all that squealing saxophone. I was like, okay, that's crazy. Dude, it was like an experience. Like I like immediately as soon as I parked, I like started writing notes. Very hypnotic.
Very, yeah. And that's that kind of groove that I'm talking about. It kind of goes into that repetitive groove, almost a trance.
That's what I mean.
Like
it
a
doesn't
trance,
like let up. It just kind of keeps going.
And there's parts that like usually I don't like shit that's super repetitive, but on this it really works. Especially Lost Grip. I fucking love that song on this album. He repeats the same words over and over again, and it just, you kind of like...
Well, he repeats a lot. I mean, even on the first track, like there's a lot of repetition.
First track's good too.
There's some really cool drum, like tom fills and stuff when they're doing those parts, which is really cool. But the thing that kind of bugged me about it was it kind of seemed like that same drum beat was used almost to excess on every one of those parts. Like I'm with you guys with the trance thing, but I didn't understand that part. It kind of left me confused after it was over. But at the same time, it left me wanting to go back. It's a short album.
Well, I guess
35 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 35 minutes, but it feels longer.
It doesn't feel long to me at all. It feels short. And I think that's where my confusion with it goes, because I'm usually not one for repetitive stuff, but I catch myself afterwards wanting to go back and restart the album again, because I think, wait, I need to hear that again because it was good.
I think to me it feels hard to kind of get through, but I kind of feel like that's the point.
Yeah, I get that too.
And like looking into it, I think it's like they were talking about lyrical themes and stuff. I think it's like somebody really like breaking down and like losing it. You know what I mean?
That's
like
what it sounds like.
Written in like, you know, during the time of COVID and stuff like that. And I really like those things. I like that I can hear bands that I love, and I know you guys hate this, but this sounds like stuff I've just kind of already heard, and it seems really like regurgitated. So like Kin Mode comes from the Henry Rollins,
his memoir.
So that's picked from Henry Rollins.
Right.
It kind of sounds like a Melvin song. Kind of sounds like Daughters. There's not a lot of original stuff here for me.
Well, for me, I don't listen to those bands.
And I'm not bashing them for this. It's just
not innovative.
It's a lot of buildup, and it doesn't know how to get you off.
So that's a lot of buildup. I put on my notes.
Yeah, and also like lyrically, like I was like, I have to get into these lyrics, because the more like I opened with the longer you talk, the weaker you sound. This guy sounds weak to me. Like I like hear the words and I hear what's going on, and I just I guarantee you I could just break them apart. And
I get like a sense of frustration.
For sure. So like I had to get into the lyrics, right? Because I'm like, I have to get into it.
You're usually not into the lyrics.
No, it depends. Yeah. It depends. And I started like reading the lyrics, and
they're easy to understand.
They're easy to understand, but they're also lines that I've heard in other songs. I'm just kind of like, it doesn't seem original to me, and that's kind of a loss for me. I get where they're going. And if this was a younger band, I'd be like, okay, this is cool. They're going to find their way. But how many albums does this band have now?
This is their 8th album.
And you're still changing, and you're still taking from other people.
You still haven't found your sound.
You still haven't found your sound, and you're still screaming at a wall and with no...
Yeah.
Like, I read the lyrics, and like, you know, he's pissed, he's mad, he wants change because things are fucked. Well, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Right, it's not Hatebreed.
I get that, but I mean, even like I don't know, but that's just some things I didn't like about it.
I get where you're coming from, because I'm kind of with Matt. I don't listen to the bands that this sounds like, so to me this is kind of fresh, not something I've heard before. But I also agree with you. There's moments where this builds up, and the build-up's really great, and it gets like this point where you're just like, oh, this is epic, this is really good, and then it just lingers there, and it never does anything with it.
Unsane, we did Unsane. Unsane is a noise rock band, and I hear Unsane in this a lot, but Unsane gets me off.
Well, and it came out like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, too.
So they've been listening to Unsane.
But I think for this, and I agree with what you're saying, like it doesn't really like, there's no apex to it or whatever, but it kind of, to me, it drives that frustration.
It does.
You know what I mean? Like you're like, where's this going? It's like nothing's
never
really
goes anywhere, and you're just like,
some black metal's like that for me, kind of where it just kind of drones on relentlessly, and it just kind of keeps you in this mode, Ken mode.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I kind of appreciated it. Like I said, I think that drive where I was listening to it and I was just kind of like,
it works great as background.
It's like I just get frustration and pissed off, disappointed.
You just get yourself getting road rage listening to it?
No, it's not like, it's not overtly angry. It's more like, fuck, why shit sucks.
More frustration.
I'm not like going to steer my car into oncoming traffic.
Yeah.
But I'm like in traffic, stuck, and just like, meh.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I like that about it. You know what I mean?
So I put on here that like some of the stuff I really loved about this though was the noise. That saxophone, it doesn't sound in tune. It doesn't sound like it's doing anything, the saxophone. And it just sounds so out of place that it fits. The dude's vocals are great.
Yeah, they're all right.
His voice.
I like that you can hear what he's saying. I like that there's like spoken word parts.
Yeah, and the mixture of spoken word with the yelling and stuff. He has a great.
I enjoy those parts.
He has a great tone on his voice for both the yelling part and the spoken words part, and it's very clear. The drum tone through this whole thing is really good. Even though it's kind of repetitive to me, I think it sounds good. Those toms sound amazing.
I agree 100%.
And it's just mixed really well.
It is mixed really well. There is a couple songs on here that are just kind of like noise. Like I think it's the tie. It just sounds like noise with drums underneath it.
Yeah. See, those are the parts where I think I'm like, oh, these guys are doing something really cool, but then it just stagnates and sits there. Yeah.
There's a couple like really good songs on here, but only like a couple.
Yeah.
I think this is a better album than it is like a collection of songs.
Oh, I would say for sure. But like I do love the Desperate Search for an Enemy.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one. It kind of picks up a little bit. It's like the faster track on it.
Yeah, that one's cool. I like Love Letter and Lost Grip are my two favorites.
Yeah.
Lost Grip's great. It's like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
My first thing that I wrote that I liked about this was that it makes me feel something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, whether I like it or don't like it, because there's things that I love on this record, and there's things that I don't like on this record. But each side of the coin made me feel something and got a reaction out of me. And that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's not like we do some albums where they just play and I'm like, what do you, I didn't even catch my attention.
I would agree.
This demands your attention immediately.
Yeah.
From the first track, and then like the repetitive parts, I'm like, is he still saying, you know, what's the lyric on that song? I don't believe that you mean well. He repeats that a lot. And it was just, it fucking worked on that drive, guys.
I'm not exactly sure what that song is talking about because, you know, lyrics are up for interpretation. But for me, what I really loved about that was that, and then there's a line that says, I'll do anything for money or I'll say anything for money. And I think it's kind of like a conversation there, like, hey, do this for me. Here's a money grab. And like, I don't think you mean well with this, but I'll do anything for money. Not sure if that's not what is there.
That's cool.
But I enjoyed that. There's a song that I don't know I should have wrote it down, but where he's pretty much talking about like probably social media or like your phone and stuff.
Yeah, one of the songs is "Throw Your Phone in the River."
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's that one, but
which river?
I think these are topics that. I think these are topics that should definitely get brought up more. You know what I mean?
Oh,
especially within music.
Yeah.
Because everything is so like, we got to drop a trailer for this, or we got to have some ad for this or that. And, you know, sometimes music should just be.
Yeah, usually I don't get into lyrics, but one of the other lyrics that caught my attention was, I'd like to congratulate you for buying into the exact same narrative as everyone else.
Yeah.
I agree with that 1,000%. There's just all these people on bandwagons all the time, or just going with the flow or being part of their tribe, which is kind of how we are as humans anyway. But it's just like, you're just doing exactly what everyone else.
Yeah, we need to break that up for sure.
Yeah, have an original thought for once, you know what I mean?
And this band sometimes doesn't do.
And he's like frustrated. You know what I mean? He's just like, why doesn't someone have a fucking original thought?
Yeah.
And I was like, it resonated with me.
So with that being said, what would you rate it?
I give it a 3.9 out of 5.
Yeah.
I usually don't like music like this, like noisy, kind of abrasive stuff, which is kind of weird because I love death metal and shit like that. But like sonically, it's like grating and it's hard to listen to. But the mood of this album, it just fucking really worked for me. So I give it a 3.9. I think it's really good.
That's good.
Casey?
So I give it a 3.5. This album confuses me.
Yeah. Right?
I hated it the first time I listened to it. It had to grow on me, but then once it grew on me, I caught myself, like I said, wanting to go back and listen to it over again. It's really quick, which I kind of don't like. I wish it was a little bit longer, but at the same time, I don't know if I'd be able to deal with them repeating the same part over and over again. But there's nothing on this that's like super offensive or abrasive or anything. It sounds great. It's mixed well. The songs are quick. They're to the point. It's good. I like it. 3.5. What about you, Nathan?
I give it a 3.8. I think it's a decent record, decent band. There's just things that kind of irritate me about it. Maybe not irritate me, but
just don't blow you away.
Yeah, it just doesn't blow me away. I'll go somewhere else if I want this type of thing. But yeah, 3.8.
Mike Warrior, thanks for the pick. Those watching, if you have any more suggestions, leave them in the comments.
This is Blenderstyle. That was Kin Mode. Let's kill.
That's all.
I don't believe that you blend well.